This na the latest update where they come about division of Nigeria. Tinubu know wetin dey come for am because that's one of the reasons why in go UK go they discuss they align with the British prime minister this man Charles. They discuss with them. They talk so many things about Nigeria. So you won't get a friend where we say they go fit align together compared to this issue of division not to work. So everything will be say in go in really know what in they do and in no say in go be the last president of Nigeria because of the way US don't already talk and say they go come for Nigeria. So I go want make you pay attention. What this video, listen to yourself, listen for yourself every single thing where they go on, and from this news analyst analyze every single thing where they happen and pay attention to the end. The ending side. So many people don't they talk more of this division to show say the thing don't they work. So pay attention from the starting to the end so that you go understand every single thing and drop your thoughts at the comment section. How many parts do you want this division to be? Now 4 or 3 because they always talk about 2. They always deliberate on 2. So is it 4 or 2 or 5 or 4 parts? To me, I think 4 parts will be the best, but so many people they talk about 2, and if you look at the body language of the US, they talk about 2. So share your thoughts at the comment section and don't forget to write freedom for Mazen and the kind of freedom for the people of Biafra. Drop your opinion at the comment section. Share this video so that everybody go there alert of what won't happen. Share this video and the only one if you take inquiry support us.
Mr. Judd Saul, he is a humanitarian, he is founder and CEO of Equipping the Persecuted and a long-time advocate for displaced communities, displaced Christian communities in Nigeria. Mr. Saul, thank you for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you, Chamberlain. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, so for those who are seeing for the first time who don't actually have a grasp of what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing, could you give us a background as to why you're doing what you're doing here in Nigeria?
Well, Equipping the Persecuted is a boots-on-the-ground mission. We work with Nigerians all over the Middle Belt, and our main goal since we've been created was to assist the persecuted Christians in Nigeria respond to the attacks as quickly as possible with food, aid, medicine, to the best of our capabilities and resources available. And of course, we've been a very big advocate for those persecuted Christians.
Okay, so we understand that you did play some role in that report that was submitted by Congressman Moore in terms of part of the research and then the congressional hearing as well. How deep were you? What kind of role did you play?
We've been advocating for Christians in Nigeria for a long time, and when this came about and President Trump took interest in this, we were one of the groups that they reached out to find out what's actually happening, because there seemed to be a lot of misinformation, especially coming out of the Nigerian government and the mainstream media as to what's actually going on. And, who do they turn to? They'll turn to Americans who actually are in Nigeria and know what's happening.
Well, I'm sure you've also have heard different narratives. Some say the characterization given to what's going on kind of weakens the entire narrative and takes away from whether or not it's actually going to get the kind of attention or the kind of solution required. So when you say Christian genocide, could you give us a background as to how you came about that, calling it a Christian genocide?
Based on what I've seen with my own eyes, and based on who people we work with on the ground in Nigeria see with their own eyes. The dead bodies, the names of the victims, the multiple Christian villages that have been completely eradicated don't lie, and it is a genocide when you're completely wiping out entire Christian communities off the map in Plateau and Taraba and Benue, and entire towns, communities completely gone and destroyed and renamed even after the attackers take over the communities. It only points to one thing: it's genocide. And I don't know how you can play word games or mind games to deny that reality. But, I see a lot of scheming in Nigeria and a lot of maneuvering and planning. It's like in Nigeria, they can come up with a scam or a scheme for any possible scenario except for the truth itself.
Well, some people will say that we've sort of, it's nice to speak with you, Mr. Judd Saul. Some people will say that we've since moved beyond this, even though it appears that we haven't quite done so, especially given the report of Representative Riley Moore, Congressman Riley Moore. I just wanted to, because I know that you've been in the country for quite a while. From what we see, you've been working in Nigeria since about 2011 or so. It's a long time before you finally founded your organization, Equipping the Persecuted. But for a number of Nigerians, they know that the issues are also a little more complex than they appear on the surface to be. There are issues of extremist jihadist movements that are affecting not just Christians, for instance, but also Muslims. And, they believe that the manner in which the conversation has been framed as to just persecuting Christians as though they were the primary targets, rather than they also being, let's say, a part of the, alongside other victims who might not necessarily be Christians or Muslims. And that framing is problematic in a country as diverse, as multi-ethnic, as, with many religions as we currently witness, and has the potential to create even more chaos, even more problems than we're currently witnessing. Given your knowledge, because I'm not very certain how far in Nigeria you've traveled, if you've been to the southern part of Nigeria, if there are just certain areas that you have been to, from your own understanding, and you can tell us other parts of the country that you have been to, how would you characterize, for instance, the Boko Haram terrorism, which took root predominantly in places like Borno State, which also took out many communities and displaced lots of people from their communities?
I think people do a disservice to what's actually happening in Nigeria by just calling it, it's a complicated situation. It's you have Boko Haram, you have ISIS, you have the Fulani ethnic militia. You have three different essential terrorist elements in Nigeria that are operating. What do they all have in common? They all want to take over Nigeria and turn it into their own type of caliphate. And they do not work well with others. And so, yes, Muslims are being affected by the terrorism is because you have Boko Haram on one side, you have the ISIS faction on another, they don't like each other. And the Fulani don't like ISIS. Sometimes they get along with Boko Haram, sometimes they don't, but they do have one agenda, and that is conquer Nigeria, turn it into a caliphate, and anyone that doesn't agree needs to be eliminated. I mean, this is what they've said with their own words. When you have terrorist elements that tell you what they want to do, and they tell you their end goal and objective, we should probably take them seriously. And we shouldn't be laying cover and protection for their agenda. It's very clear. Now, terrorist elements all over the world, when they don't get along with one another, they kill each other. But they have one thing in common. Let's eradicate anything that gets in its way. And they all have another thing in common, and that is they hate Christians. And you don't see Muslim communities being completely wiped off the map and renamed. You don't see, I'd say for every Muslim that's killed in these attacks, and based on my numbers, it's 5-to-1 ratio. 5 Christians are killed for every Muslim. And of course, there's going to be people in the middle that are attacked that are part of this violence, but it is a continuous targeted attack to get rid of specifically Christian communities because, one, they don't ideologically agree. So they get in their way of the politics, and that's what's happening. What we're witnessing right now is a real-life jihad taking place against anybody ideologically and religiously.
Okay. Well, you've got this terror tracker, which was worrying when people look at that. So looking at that terror tracker,
Yeah.
how did your group come up with this? Because there seems to be threats all over the place.
Yeah, it's really crazy. Looking at it's nttmap.org, Nigeria Terror Tracker, nttmap.org. And we have imported every attack in Nigeria that's taken place over the last 5 years. In about 1 week, it will be every attack since 2001. And each attack has source documentation. These are documented attacks. How did we get the information? Combined from data from several sources that we went through and we verified each claim, each data. This took several months and several man hours to put this together. But it gives you a clear visual of what Nigeria is dealing with in one picture. And it's not only just, here's the attacks, but it's who did the attacks, who perpetrated, verified who were part of these attacks. And it's a great resource for people to look at. And I think for Nigerians to look at internally and say, you know what, instead of playing word games, we should probably address this issue.
May I ask, though, why Nigeria? Why are you interested in Christians in Nigeria?
I came here in 2011 with my grandfather, who was doing mission work here in Nigeria. And when I first came to Nigeria, I fell in love with the people, fell in love with the country. And, coming from a place like America, and just as a Christian and seeing fellow Christians in Nigeria that don't have the comfort we have in America, that don't have, the resources, and they're struggling every day just to live. But when I saw Nigerians show up on Sunday wearing their Sunday best and giving it all to the glory of God and praising Him despite all the afflictions, all the stuff that's happening to them, they have a joy in the Lord unlike anything I've ever seen. And that's what made me fall in love with this country.
All right. So as we wind down, the bill before Congress, it still has some hurdles to cross. Are you confident that that bill will eventually pass?
I believe that there's enough support in the U.S. House to pass it, and I think we can get some bipartisan support, even from the Democrat side, and get some votes on it to pass.
But there's got to be something in this for America, isn't it? It can't be just large or basically humanitarian, is it?
From what I understand, the United States, the State Department is doing humanitarian and aid differently than it has in the last 50 years. And after talking to Riley Moore, Congressman Chris Smith, Senator Hawley, and others in the U.S. Congress, they don't have an economic bent to this. These are representatives, senators, and congressmen that want to do the right thing, and they really do care about humanity, and this is their way of doing it. And I think working with the Nigerian government, and really showing the Nigerian government that the power of the United States actually cares about what's happening here, I think we can get a lot done and save a lot of lives.
All right, Mr. Jotol, thank you for talking to us this morning.
Good morning, and now we're having a good evening, and we're going to a premiere in a little while. But there's nothing more important than what we're doing right now, in my opinion. Today I'm signing a historic executive order to combat the scourge of addiction and substance abuse. Big deal in this country and probably in every country. We're calling it the Great American Recovery Initiative. I'm grateful to be joined by co-chairs of this sweeping new effort, Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Senior Advisor to the White House Great American Recovery Initiative, Catherine Burgum. Thank you both very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Where's Bobby? Bobby. Hello, Bobby. Come here. I love Bobby. You're doing a great job, Catherine. All right? Do we think so? Who's doing a better job, him or your husband? Maybe the husband does. He's doing a good job.
I'm just getting started, sir.
They're both doing very well, and now you're going to do better than both of them. Thanks as well to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Secretary Doug Burgum, Secretary Scott Turner, Secretary Doug Collins, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, who's got some pretty good news, Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, FDA Commissioner Dr. Marty McCary, NIH Director Dr. Jay Bhattacharya. Oh, I've gotten good at that. You are, sir. Administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, Dr. Mehmet Oz, who's doing a fantastic job, and Director of the Office of National Drug Control Policy, Sarah Carter. I also want to introduce a great friend of mine who happened to be here, and he's very much committed to this. He knows how important it is for our country. He's built a tremendous American company. It's called WeatherTech. I guess you've seen the ads. I've seen the ads. I think they're great ads, but more importantly, it's a great product. David McNeil. David, congratulations on what you've done. It's incredible.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Really great. And the president of WeatherTech, Ryan Granger. Ryan, congratulations. What a great job. They built an American company, and it's a thriving company, too, so with a great product.
It's great to be here in America.
You know, when I was in the private sector, I'd always buy the floor mats, but now that I'm president, I no longer have to buy floor mats. But you made a great floor mat, and you still do, and lots of other things. Many of those with me today have personally known the heartache of a loved one taken by drug or alcohol addiction. I do, just like millions of American families. Every year we lose an estimated 300,000 people to drug and alcohol abuse, and the real number is probably much, much higher than that. Thankfully, drug overdose deaths plummeted by 21% in the last year. We're working very hard on it. We've closed the southern border, seized over 47 million fentanyl pills and 10,000 pounds of fentanyl powder. That's a record, and I have formally designated Dr. And I'll tell you what, we have a group of doctors, some of them behind me, who have just been incredible, and they've really wanted this, designated the drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And for some reason, they didn't want to do that until we came along, but they are indeed foreign terrorist organizations. With our action in the Gulf of America, that sounds so nice when I hear the Gulf of America. Drugs entering our country by sea are down 97%. So when you see the boats being hit, those boats kill on average 25,000 people a boat. So that's 25,000, I would assume mostly American lives, but lives are being saved. Now we're taking a bold action to help Americans struggling with all forms of addiction so they can get the help and the support that they need to free themselves from the horrible burden of dependency. The Great American Recovery Initiative will bring together federal, state, local, and private sector resources to support addiction, recovery, treatment, and prevention. And it will help mobilize the full resources and authority of the federal government to help stop this tremendous plague. And I'd now like to invite Secretary Kennedy to start, and then Catherine Burgum, and then I'll sign the order, which I've just signed, and wanted to make sure the signature was good. Took my time, and we get. Let me just see. Pretty good. Not pretty good. Let's give it a 10, okay? For Catherine. But I'd like Bobby to say a few words, and Catherine, thank you very much, everybody.
There is a very popular saying in Igbo that says, "Naso kateza anya ekpulu nkita n'isibu yoku." Oh yes, honestly speaking, there is something seriously going on in US Congress that we really need to talk about. Oh yes, please, I beg you to stay with me because this is very serious. Very serious, I said. Now, I'm very sure that most of us know this man. His name is Rep. Moore. He is a member of US Congress and he has been the one giving information to the White House about this issue of insecurity in Nigeria. Of course, he has been to Nigeria. He has been to Nigeria and he was sent by Trump himself. Now, early this year, January 2026, this man came out and said, well, we are going to propose to Trump that one of the best ways to solve the issue of insecurity in Nigeria is by dividing Nigeria into two, the North and the South. That was what he said in January. In February, he came out and said, oh, we are not dividing Nigeria again. Instead, we are stopping Sharia. That was what he said in February. Now we are in March. He has come out to say another thing. Meanwhile, they have not divided Nigeria. Sharia has not stopped, and now they are proposing another thing. That is why I said that I think something is going on in this Congress. I think something has exchanged hand here that we really need to talk about. Well, let's look at what he said or what he is proposing that will take place this time around. According to him, he said, look at the news, he says, US Congressman advocates state police to tackle Nigeria insecurity. So what he is proposing this time around is that the best way to solve insecurity in Nigeria is to create state police. State police. Yes, I know that creating state police will help, advance, security in every state. But do you think that is the best way to stop this, mass killing, this Boko Haram, these terrorists? Is state police the best way to stop them? I thought what we are talking about is, a permanent solution to solving insecurity in Nigeria. So how come state police is on the table again? Well, let's read the news and see what he said. Of course, you see, this news was published just yesterday, being the 25th day of March 2026, right? So let's look at what he said and why he is proposing that. All right. Furthermore, he said, a United States Congressman, Willie Moore, has called for the decentralization of Nigeria's policing system, arguing that state government must be empowered to respond more effectively to worsening insecurity, particularly in the country's middle belt. So what he is calling for now is for state police. So you know what is state police? That each state will have the police that is policing them. All right. He went further to say, Moore made the assertion in a post on X on Wednesday, urging Nigerian authorities to take more effective steps to protect citizens. All right. The lawmaker advocated structural reforms to Nigeria's policing framework, stressing that it is past time to decentralize police authority in the country. So what he's saying is that, each state should have their own police. All right, let's see the reason why he said that. He said Christians in Nigeria continue to face brutal violence and death at the hands of radical Islamic terrorists. The government in Abuja must step up and protect their citizens in the middle belt. I don't know why he kept saying middle belt. Is it not in the north again? Or Northern is not part of Nigeria anymore? It's past time to decentralize police authority so state government can protect their citizens and stop this horrific persecution. All right, so that is what he's saying. But I wonder why he's always saying middle belt. Why not the northern part of Nigeria? Another Christian church in Nigeria destroyed by Fulani militants. These are photos of St. James the Great Catholic Church in Adu, Taraba. Just constant terrorism against these Christians. Of course, there was a picture that was, placed under this, the picture of the church that was attacked by these terrorists in Taraba State. So I'm not going to display the picture, but it's just telling you that, Christians are really going through a lot in Nigeria. And the best way this man is proposing is for state policing. Will state policing stop insecurity in Nigeria? Well, furthermore, he said, let me zoom it so you can see it. He said, his comment add to growing international attention on Nigerian security challenges, particularly calls for reforms that would allow subnational government to play a greater role in maintaining law and order. All right. The call also comes amid renewed moves by the federal government to advance the creation of state police as part of efforts to tackle the country's multifaceted security challenges. So the federal government of Nigeria has already started making moves to, creating of state police before really more also come to add his own voice that state police will help to tackle insecurity in Nigeria. Of course, I believe that state police will help, but it is not the permanent. We are looking at the permanent solution. It's not just a temporary solution. You get? So finally, on this note, he said, Nigerian Inspector General of Police Tunji Dusu recently inaugurated an 8-man member committee to drive the implementation of state policing, signaling what appears to be a significant step by the administration of Bola Tinubu toward decentralizing the national security architecture. All right, so as I said, the federal government of Nigeria has also started that process. So here it is saying that the Inspector General of Police has also inaugurated 8 members as a committee to look towards, creation of state police. All right, the committee is expected to develop the framework for the proposed state policing model and coordinate its rollout in line with the IGP's broader policing vision, following his confirmation as the 23rd Indigenous Inspector General of Police. All right, so on the final note, he says, President Bola Tinubu has also urged members of the National Assembly, particularly the Senate, to begin the process of amending the constitution to accommodate state police, describing the decentralization of policing as vital to reclaiming forests from armed groups and combating terrorism. So, as I said, the federal government of Nigeria has already started that process before even really more came about with his quest for state policing. So, as I said, state policing is good, but for me, it is not a permanent way to solve it, right? First of all, why I made that proverb in the beginning. This man has been advocating for some things, but suddenly, he changed mind. He started by, okay, let's stop Sharia. Now he's saying, let's do state policing. What happened? Anyway, we are still waiting for them to come up with something tangible, a meaningful something. Because when they talk about insecurity in Nigeria, some of us think it's just a child's play. I just watched a video where, holy Jesus, I don't even know how to say that. 150 persons were unalive by bandits in the north. 150, I watched the video. I can't play it here. Or this platform will bring it down. So when we talk about insecurity, it's not a child's play. People are dying on daily basis, and we need a solution, a tangible solution to end this menace in Nigeria. Well, I'm not going to allow you to also listen to what a member of the American security, group also said about insecurity in Nigeria. Of course, he specified Nigeria because Nigeria is just, the talk of the town, both in the international community now. So please, I want to beg you to spend a little time. Then you do well to tell me what this man is proposing or what actually went wrong. That this man started well. At some point, he started saying other things. What happened? I don't really know what happened. But then drop your comment in the comment section what to think.
It's waiting they go on right now. Waiting on I take my popular one more. I share on our own thought at the comment section. With waiting they go on about Nigeria division and about this Christian genocide and about a lot of things where they go on. I think say the right time for us to separate don't reach. Or I think say we still need to make more deliberation and discuss more dialogue or more how to stay united in this country. Which one I think drop your thought at the comment section. Don't forget to share this video to everyone on every social media platform and click the subscribe button for more updates.